We're back. Part 2. Welcome to Space Talk. Welcome, Nate. Welcome
Been a
to
while. Been a
Sean.
minute.
It's been a while. I had it. You know what? I did that first one. I always like these take a lot out of me. I always do them, and then I'm like, it's an effort, you know. So, but the planets were calling. I felt the planets calling again. I said, all right, let's.
This is part 2 of Space Talk.
Part 2 of Space Talk.
Oh,
We actually
shit.
started with the sun in part 1. I
Okay.
included the sun and ended up spending like maybe 30 minutes
Yeah,
talking about the
like-
sun. Sun's insane, dude.
Sun's kind of the best.
How hot do you think the core of the sun reaches?
Oh fuck, man.
15 million.
600 degrees. 15 million
degrees. Enough
Oh, fuck.
to actually turn them basically hydrogen into plasma, which is nuclear fusion, which is why we have sunlight blasting out. And it's the reason we all exist, honestly. Pretty sick. But
Okay.
if you haven't, that's in part 1. That's in part 1.
Yeah, my bad.
If you haven't listened to part 1, which we left off, by the way, with Venus, which we were talking about Venus earlier.
I like Venus.
Could
Serena
have
sister.
could
Freaky
have
planet.
microbes living in the cloud layer of Venus. Probably didn't know that. Whatever. Now you do. We don't know. We'll find out. There's an expedition going to see if there actually is some form of life on Venus.
Man-led expedition.
What do you mean?
Like
no,
a-
hell no. It's all probes, bro.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Couldn't go to goddamn Venus.
Yeah, I don't think we've had, we've had nothing further
Bro,
than
did
the
you
moon.
not listen to part 1 of the fucking If you have not listened to part 1, go back and fucking listen. I'm very serious, but also I can't control you. So it would be sweet if I could control
Should
you.
learn about the sun. Though.
Full act. You should learn about the sun. And Venus was kind of sick too.
Wasn't she like the bad bitch of the universe for everybody?
Venus was Venus was like Aphrodite,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
We also tackle the mythological.
Is
kind of
Venus the
background.
closest to the sun?
No, Mercury.
Okay. We're not going in order.
No, Mercury, the fleet-footed messenger.
Yeah.
We did the Sun, Mercury, Venus.
Okay.
Now we're skipping Earth because I'm going to go to Earth at the very end. Obviously, we'll return to Earth, but I'm doing Mars now.
Okay.
So part 2, skipping Earth because I don't want to. I want
Been
to
there,
end on
done that.
Earth. Huh?
I'm saying been there, like kind of been there, done that too. Like we here, we kind of get it.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll see. I have something up my sleeve.
Oh,
I'm gonna go to the fringes of the solar system. Maybe we'll descend back to Earth, and maybe it'll appear different to us now that we've traveled throughout the whole solar
Can
system.
I ask for a slight spoiler? You hitting Pluto?
You fucking know it.
Hell yeah!
I'm not leaving Pluto on the
You
chopping block.
can't leave Pluto.
Unlike the coward Neil deGrasse Tyson. No. I think he actually is a Pluto advocate, if I had to guess.
Oh, nice.
All right, so Mars. So we're gonna frame it around what would it be like if we were in like a perfectly temperature controlled futuristic spacesuit and we could just like descend ourselves down to the planet. So the approach, we've passed Earth, we're floating towards Mars. So it's like we're floating in space. Venus is now just a small dot on a dark horizon. Earth is a tiny blue marble, and we hover in our temperature controlled jet suits over Mars, floating downward expertly and cautiously, of course. First thing we see floating above is the unmistakable color of Mars. It's totally red, not orange, not brown, red, a deep rusty red cutting against the black of space. In case you didn't know, space is black as hell. Drifting down, Mars topography comes. I had to do it. Drifting down, Mars topography comes into view. Unlike Venus, there's no clouds. What you see is what you're about to get. Do you know why Mars has no clouds?
Why?
Because there's no atmosphere.
No atmosphere. Fuck.
No,
I was
you know
gonna
why
say
there's
that.
no atmosphere?
No water. Moisture. Fuck.
There actually is a ton of
shit.
fucking water on Mars. There's enough water on Mars to cover the entire planet in an ocean of about 100 feet deep. But whatever, we'll talk about it later.
What?
Yeah, Mars there's no magnetic field.
Ah.
Magnetic fields deter solar winds from stripping the atmosphere.
Okay.
I was going to ask why, but I feel like you're probably getting to
I'm
that.
going to get to it.
Yeah.
I could answer right now. I'm basically an expert on space right now. But. So, yeah, there's no clouds on Mars. There's no atmosphere.
What color is the sky there?
Butterscotch.
Really?
Well, we'll get into that.
I'm sorry. I'm jumping. Yeah.
So we're drifting down. We start seeing Mars topography, because there's no clouds.
Mhm.
What you see is what you're about to get. We start to see ice caps, 2 frozen poles, just like our beautiful Earth. It is honestly, as we're going, this is the most similar planet to Earth yet, though Mars is half the Earth's size, which we'll see comes into play. So 40,000 feet up, about the size of a commercial airliner. Things begin to change. The sky, for starters, is no longer black. We have now entered into Mars, weak atmosphere. It is an atmosphere. It's no longer black. It's like we said, pale pinkish tan, a butterscotch. Now that we've entered Mars's weak atmosphere, the color comes from this like pinkish tan, comes from suspended particles of iron oxide dust. You know what iron oxide is?
Yeah, it's like iron shavings.
Rust.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
aka rust.
It's just rust air.
Rust air, catching the light. So
I could
it's
breathe that in.
fucking pretty grunge.
I think I could breathe that in. I think
Rust
I'd be
air?
okay. I think I'd be okay.
You'd be all right.
Put me on
probably
Mars.
tastes a little
Just
bitter.
deep breaths of rust.
So it's particles of rust catching the light. Grunge as hell. Seattle 95. So jutting up from the old rusty ball, we see Olympus Mons, a massive circular plateau coming up out of the cracked surface, wider than the state of New Mexico. And it's so big, we can't see the ends of the thing. It's even from 40,000 feet in the air, it's just eclipsing our view. And honestly, how tall do you think Olympus Mons is? And compared to Everest, how high do you think it is?
I bet it's a half an Everest.
I was about to say half of Everest.
2.5 times Everest.
Whoa.
dude.
It's bigger?
14 miles, it's 14 miles high. It's 2.5 times the height of Everest, wider than the state of New Mexico.
It's like when like a little dude has a giant dick.
Yeah, exactly. Bro, and if that's not enough for you, it's also a volcano.
So it bust. So it actually bust.
Dude, not only, so get this, the reason Olympus Mons got so tall is that Mars has no plate tectonics. So the ground, the shit, they don't have plates shifting around like we do at Earth.
So they get no earthquakes or
No.
No, so
Ain't nothing seismic about it.
there's
Damn.
there's a little seismic. So here's where the seismic activity comes from. On Earth, a volcanic hotspot punches through the crust and starts building a mountain, but the plates keep moving. So the hotspot punches through somewhere new and starts a new mountain. That's why basically the Hawaiian Island chain exists. On Mars, the crust never moves. So the same hotspot kept erupting in the same spot for billions of years. This is lava piling on lava with nowhere to go. Results the tallest volcano in the solar system. Not fucking bragging on Mars' behalf, but that's just what it is.
Damn.
So we keep floating down. Another thing comes into view. Something is jarring, if not more so than Olympus. Valles Marineris, the dark scar-like canyon stretching as far as you can see. And honestly, dude, canyon undersells this thing. It's more appropriate to call it a tectonic rupture
yeah.
or a planetary scar.
So it's just like a giant fucking like bigger than the
Super
Grand Canyon.
So, okay, let me put that in perspective. Grand Canyon, 277 miles long, 10 miles wide, 1 miles deep. Valles Marineris, I mean, you guys aren't even ready for this. 2,485 miles long, stretching from basically Los Angeles to New York with a little bit of room to spare. 124 miles wide, 10 times the width of
Evil
Grand
Knievel
Canyon.
couldn't have done shit with that. Evil Knievel would have been pissed.
Dude, his bitch ass, no way.
But lower gravity, low gravity.
Lower gravity. Oh, yeah.
Times 3, although it's not enough. It's 10 times wider. 4.3 miles deep, 4 times the depth of the Grand Canyon. If you were to stand on the rim of Valles Marineris at its widest point, you'd be looking out over the horizon on the edge of a 4.3 mile cliff into basically an abyss. You can't see the other side.
You said it's 120 miles wide?
Yeah, 124 miles wide.
Holy shit.
I missed what you said how deep it was.
4.3 mile cliff.
Oh shit.
So like one of our tallest
Yeah.
mountains, basically.
Yeah.
Everest, I think, is like 5.5 miles. So
Damn.
you'd be on like close to the top of Everest, looking down into a just red dust.
I don't think Earth even has anything that goes 4.3 miles deep.
Hell no,
Yeah.
not even close.
Like the Russians tried to dig that one thing a long time ago, but they didn't get close.
I'm not hating on the Russians. They can't dig that.
No, they didn't do it. Yeah.
The Russians can't dig as deep
No.
as Valles Marineris, dude. Fuck them. So it's too wide. It's literally the other side. You're just standing on the edge of something. You're like, you wouldn't even know there's another side to it. It's just a giant cliff. So, and maybe you're thinking,
Flat
like,
Mars.
Mars doesn't have tectonic plates. So how could it be a tectonic rupture? So here's the deal. Instead of plate shifting to create Valles Marineris, the Marineris cracked due to enormous pressure and weight of volcanic activity. Here's how it happened. So the Grand Canyon was carved by water. We know that. The Colorado River over millions of years. Water erosion cutting downward through rock layer by rock layer. Valles Marineris has nothing to do with water. It formed because of the Tharsis volcanic plateau. It's an enormous bulge on the Martian surface where Olympus Mons sits, created by billions of years of volcanic activity piling material up in one place. So the bulge is so massive. No, literally.
Massive
Dude,
bulge.
the bulge is so massive and so heavy, it put enormous stress on the surrounding ground. So it's just like if you were to push up on the center of a piece of plastic, the edges crack and pull apart. So the bulge was so big, it just it collapsed. Huh?
Pause.
No, dude, it's not me. It's a Valles Marineris. The bulge, the Olympus Mons, the bulge is so big that it literally cracked the ground. It cracked the ground and created a basically giant vag for itself.
Damn.
The Vallis Marinus is the vag. The bulge was so
That's
big.
what a giant bulge needs is a giant pussy.
Where there's a bulge that big, you need a vag. Pretty crazy.
Needed very deep fat.
The deepest, miles deep. I mean, here's the thing that the Vallis Marinus, it won't even get his ball. It couldn't go balls deep, or the Olympus Mons couldn't go balls deep into the Vallis Marinus.
Damn.
It would be horse cocked it would be half out.
Yeah.
It would have less.
That's what we're all striving for, honestly.
I know, it's fucking kind of sick. So okay, this is just at 40,000 feet, guys. We're 20,000 feet coming in. We're dropping. We see giant 8-kilometer dust devils come into view, swirling across the planet and into the Martian skies. I think 8 kilometers, like 5 miles high, if I had to guess. Because I think a 10K is 6 miles.
Dust devil. That's like a tornado. Like a little.
It's just dust devils, just a giant swirling clouds of dust. And also, these aren't. Here's the thing: these aren't the small whirlwinds you see on a desert on Earth. Like we said, they can do. They're 8 kilometers, dude. So they were talking again, taller than Everest. Everest is kind of a bitch when it comes to Mars.
Yeah.
So and this is because Mars has such a thin atmosphere that these things can just like rise super high for whatever reason. So again, we're coming down still 20,000 feet. We see the ice caps. They're layered. The ice caps apparently contain the way they're shaped and formed. Contain records of ancient glacial activity. Each layer represents a different seasonal cycle of freezing and thawing going back millions of years. Scientists apparently can read these layers like tree rings to understand Mars's ancient climate history.
Those are the things that always get me. Like, are you sure?
Well, so we'll get into kind of how they can, at least one of the examples why they can tell. So there was definitely once flowing water in these parts, flowing through the Vallis Marinus even, but it's gone. All just rust on dust and dust on rust.
We know this all from CCTV footage from like a drone that we sent up there.
We sent a little guy buzzing around up there.
I think we got a guy that's on there right now.
Yeah. Send him up there.
Like an actual guy?
No, like
a rover.
It's a little robot.
He sent pictures back.
We have a robot that actually, it was supposed to only live so long, but one of the dust devils cleaned off the dust off its solar panel, so it ended up getting like 7 more years than it was supposed to. Kind of sick.
Dude, the rings thing make me think Terrence Howard was right about life being peopling, because like each...
What do you mean?
Like each planet, the solar system expanding, so he says like each planet has a time of peopling, and then like once it gets too far from the sun, people die.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Terrence Howard made that up. I think that's,
no,
Mars.
he made that up on Joe Rogan.
Oh, no, his thing was that planets come out of the sun.
Yeah.
The sun bursts planets, and then they move to a zone where they have people, then they move away and die.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, right. That's pure Terrence Howard. So I should get him on the final episode of Outer Space. That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, you got.
God, that'd be so sick. So we're falling towards Mars, and then we see there's the moon, Phobos, a lumpy potato-looking thing, quickly moving west to east, opposite Earth's moon, moving across the sky. It also moves in the wrong direction compared to Earth because Mars orbits faster than Mars rotates.
Doesn't Venus do clockwise too?
I think so. Yeah, it does the other way. It laps the planet 3 times a day. So
isn't like Earth the only one with like a perfect circle moon? Aren't all the other moons kind of like weird shapes? Like
I haven't heard of a lot of moons are fucking kind of weird and fucked up. So now we're boots on the ground. We stick the landing. The guy we went to astronaut school with, who was a dick to us in astronaut school, crashes and dies. Unfortunately, too bad for him. But whatever. Mission must go on.
We don't miss him.
His wife is officially fair game when we get back. First thing we notice noise wise, silence. The wind makes a noise, but it's thin, almost whispery. And this is NASA's Perseverance rover actually recorded audio. I think it was the first audio of Mars, 2021. First time audio is captured on another planet. And so what it sounds like actually is like everything on Mars sounds thin and distant, like it's coming from far away, even when it isn't. This is because the air on Mars is thin. It's 1% of Earth's atmosphere. So an atmosphere is just the density of molecules in the air. So sound waves need stuff like molecules to bounce off of. Like it's like if you were like passing a note in the crowd.
Yeah.
You need a lot of people to keep passing the note. When there's not a lot of sound molecules, or there's not a lot of molecules in the air, sound waves have nothing to bounce off of. So like the sound waves just start to degrade, especially the higher frequencies. So when I'm talking right now, It's almost like when you're editing videos. There's like a packet of sound waves. There's high frequencies, low. I probably have more low frequencies, honestly, whatever. But they're coming off. I'm pretty much all bass because I swim and it lowers your voice. But you have high and low frequencies. They come as your voice was traveling in the Martian atmosphere. The high frequencies kind of get like stripped away because they just dissipate. So when I could be talking to you and it would sound like I'm behind a wall because all that gets to you is like the very lower frequencies coming after a while. And here's a weird thing too. So if I were to speak to you, the lower frequencies of my voice would get to you before the higher frequencies. So there'd be a weird clipped effect where you would hear me almost twice.
Man. It's like an echo type thing?
Sort of, but you would hear like a low version, then the higher version, like a slight second later.
So if we had like ladies on Mars, they would all sound like dudes. They would all kind of have like just deep behind a wall sound voices.
We would all sound like
I don't
ladies.
know. I don't think anyone ever brought the fucking bass to Mars. We have to wait till Bezos brings fucking Katy Perry to Mars. We have to hear her song she records on Mars. So that was kind of cool about this. And honestly, I was laughing because I feel like if you were to talk to somebody, if we recorded audio of us talking on Mars, people would probably think Lemaire produced it. That's what Mars sounds like. It sounds like Lemaire produced the audio. Also, temperature on Mars, cold as hell. Even if the temperature gauge reads 68 degrees Fahrenheit at noon in the equator in the summer on Mars, which you sometimes can, it does not feel like 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature is actually just the surface temperature of the planet itself.
Like if you put your hand on the
ground. The atmosphere is so thin it can't transfer heat to your body efficiently. So the air molecules are what carries heat into your skin.
Yeah.
I got my air's on what, like 64 right now, 63. So it's literally the air molecules that they hit you at 63 degrees and that transfers like the coolness to your body or the heat to your body. So the air molecules on Mars they're so spread apart, so thin. Think about it. If they're 1% of our atmosphere, that means like if you're to take a breath, say on Earth, you get 100, whatever it would be, 1 million oxygen molecules. On Mars, you would get 1 per breath. I don't even know if you would even get 1, but you get the point. It'd be mostly carbon dioxide. But so even that, it's so sparse. You could be standing at 68 degrees, but you would be in freezing air. So we would all freeze to death, no matter how warm it is on Mars. Without our.
And Mars is closer to the sun, though. No, we jumped over us. They're behind us.
This is away from us. Yeah. It gets about like 60% of the sunlight we do.
Okay.
Once the sun goes down, and the fact that Mars doesn't have an atmosphere to trap all the heat, the planet goes like negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Holy shit.
Yeah, kind of bullshit. The daily temperature swing on Mars it could be 170 degrees Fahrenheit, which is kind of crazy because Earth's craziest temperature swings are like maybe 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit on a desert day.
Yeah.
Mars
they're doing whole seasons.
Mars does 6 times the temperature swing every single day.
And that's like everywhere?
Well, the ice caps kind of just chill at negative 195 degrees Fahrenheit.
I'm saying like the equator of Mars can get to negative 100 degrees.
Yeah, for sure. It does. Damn. Once it like turns away from the sun, it's not like there's no greenhouse effect.
Right.
That's the whole. We'll get into terraforming Mars, but the whole thing is capturing carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
The shit that we're trying to avoid on Earth, Mars needs to do to become habitable, but it would probably take thousands of years. But whatever. So. Around the polar ice caps, things are just chilling at negative 195 degrees Fahrenheit. This is cold enough to freeze carbon dioxide, which is, if you know what that is, dry ice. So that means parts of the caps are made of dry ice. So some of the dry ice thaws in the summer season, sublimating back into gas, carbon dioxide, before being trapped back into solids the next winter. And this, like the carbon dioxide gas, does have a measurable, though negligible, effect on the atmosphere readings on Mars. It does bump the atmosphere up a little bit. But it's like
most part,
1% to like 1.0002 or whatever. So it's just you have this like kind of off gassing, refreezing that happens all the time. The light on Mars. Oh, I actually was mistaken. It's actually the sunlight on Mars is 43% as bright on Earth because Mars is further from the sun. So it kind of like a full sun day on Mars looks kind of slightly overcast. So that's like as good as you would get.
Yo, why are we even trying to get there? This place sounds like shit.
I mean, but here,
sucks.
Well, here's the thing: it's low gravity, so you could jump 3 times as high. So going back,
so we could all dunk.
We could all dunk
And pick ladies up. They could pick up fat bitches.
I think so. Oh yeah, easily, no
Oh
problem.
yeah, be
Fat-
fucking fat bitches in the air.
Yeah,
You'd want 'em
throw
fat.
them up.
You'd want them fat for the chilly nights, honestly.
Yeah.
So the sky, so the way when we're looking up, like we said, we're looking up from the ground, we see a kind of like a pinkish, kind of butterscotchy sky.
Mhm.
At sunset, the area near the sun goes blue while the rest of the sky stays pink, the exact opposite of an Earth sunset.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, apparently. Blue where the sun is setting, pink everywhere else. The reason is on Earth, our atmosphere scatters blue light everywhere, giving us blue skies and red sunsets. Mars's thin, dusty atmosphere scatters red light during the day, which is why they have a reddish sky. But near the sun at sunset, the dust thins out enough to let blue wavelengths come through. So same thing, just opposite result. Pretty sick. Oh, and at nighttime too. I mean, you have, since there's no atmosphere, it's just you see the stars like completely perfectly every single night.
That's cool.
Just the Milky Way, you see fucking Phobos crossing around.
When you're around no light pollution, the stars are the coolest fucking
Yeah,
thing.
apparently Mars
Bugs you out.
Mars, you can actually see the moon visibly moving through the sky at nighttime.
Yeah.
Kind of sick. And then again, there's occasional dust devils crossing the plane. And it honestly sounds like nothing. It's even though it's an 8 kilometers high dust storm. And this is that, like I said, it cleaned the Opportunity rover solar panel, and actually, extended its life from 90 days to 15 years. Pretty fucking cool. Yeah, so pretty sick. So and like we said, gravity is 3 times. You jump 3 times higher. Gravity's 38% of Earth's gravity, so you feel light.
Yeah, okay.
We would all feel snatched in our suits. So here, okay, we're into the terraforming. So even though it's freezing cold and you can't breathe, Mars is by far the best planet yet in terms of habitation. People have talked about terraforming it, which means like making it so we can actually ditch our cool suits and oxygen tanks and live naturally on the surface. So existing technology, here's the download on terraforming Mars.
This is what we're working on right now.
I mean, it's Elon Musk talks about it, but I don't think I think he's nowhere near anywhere. He's kind of flexing. It's kind of nerd cap. Like we're like the technology we would need is just not even close to.
He's science maxing.
He is science maxing for sure. He's science mogging.
Yeah.
But it is kind of cap. So okay, so step 1, if we wanted to actually terraform Mars, here's how in theory it could be done. Step 1, like we said, we need to get carbon dioxide. We need to reestablish an atmosphere. And you need carbon dioxide to trap heat and keep it there, creating the greenhouse effect, which is what we try to avoid on Earth. So several proposed methods to warm the planet. Redirecting sunlight. We could use giant mirrors, basically, or sheets of reflective metal positioned in orbit outside of Mars to focus additional sunlight onto the surface and the poles, because we need to melt those things down.
They try like magnifying glass and ant.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah,
the mirrors would have to be hundreds of miles across, and the technology doesn't currently exist. But technically, like, you could do it in theory, just bouncing light off of a reflective
How would you even
surface.
get a 100-mile mirror into Mars's orbit, though?
You'd have maybe just put them on like a fucking plane and ship them, or just build them in space. Again, that's the thing. We don't have the technology to build them. Dr. Evil. So here's another thing we could do in order to get CO2 up in the mix to warm up the planet. The fastest proposed method that we could actually do is flooding Mars's atmosphere with powerful greenhouse gases, specifically perfluorocarbons or CFCs. Remember the stuff in Hairspray that was destroying the ozone layer?
Yeah, we need that.
We need that. We need the opposite. So the ozone layer too, by the way, I never knew what it even was. So it's an area in the stratosphere way up high in the sky where clusters of 3 oxygen atoms bind together and hang around. And the 3 oxygen atoms together are called ozone. So if you have these clusters of oxygen, it absorbs harmful UV radiation that if the ozone layer is destroyed, that harmful UV radiation kind of pours in. It would kill plants and plankton and just make like very shitty conditions in theory for everything alive. So CFCs, or that shit from Hairspray, when they reach the stratosphere, they break down into chlorine, and 1 chlorine atom can destroy up to 100,000 molecules of ozone, which is why CFCs were banned under the Montreal Protocol in 1987. And the ozone layer, good news for once, has been slowly recovering. So
Nice.
we got one
Nice.
environmental win.
Is that
under
why
our
it's been
belts.
getting hot as shit?
They think so, but it has been getting better.
Yeah.
So,
I don't like
but yeah, if that ozone layer of 3 oxygen molecules binded together, if that gives away enough, we have like a nice little filter hovering over us we don't even know about.
Nice.
So the idea is to manufacture these gases on Mars using Martian resources and release them into the atmosphere constantly over
I
decades.
just see pictures sending up all our fat guys. So
Yeah.
just farted.
It would, although it would take decades of centuries for the greenhouse effect to actually rise the temperatures. And again, like we
We
said,
could freeze all our fat guys who are about to fart, send them out there,
Send 'em up
thaw 'em
there.
out, one just all at once.
One big
That-
fart.
Just 100.
we can at least try that, honestly.
Yeah,
I
we
think.
gotta.
So the
Sorry, Lemire.
yeah, and this is a whole like, and again, we all know how the greenhouse effect works. It's just I guess so light is pure energy, right? Comes from the sun, hits the planet, and it radiates. So the light hits the planet, and it's just like, there's heat trapped in light. So then the light bounces back off or gets absorbed or whatever, but that heat starts to bounce. It wants to go back into space. When you have an atmosphere, your atmosphere, what it does is it traps the heat so that you can have it in your planet and doesn't just like go. That's why Mars is so fucking freezing at night. So everything, even the light, escapes Mars. The greenhouse gases would hover, basically it would just hover over Mars and it would just capture all that heat and bounce it back down. And then, you melt you melt as it gets warm, the polar ice caps on Mars would melt. That would release more of that CO2 that's frozen, that dry ice. So then that would then go into the atmosphere, which would make the planet warmer, melting more ice caps and on and on and on. So basically, like we said, the things that are shitty for Earth would be exactly what Mars needs. Problem is you could like Elon Musk, nuke the fucking ice caps and all that stuff. Even if you melted the Martian ice caps, you'd only be able to get the atmosphere only slightly thicker. Without a magnetic field, solar winds will constantly strip away whatever atmosphere gets produced.
Right.
And why don't they have a magnetic field? They don't got like a core.
Exactly. Mars's core is dead.
Oh,
It's not churning. If your core is dead, your planet loses its magnetic field.
That
Is
makes
there a
really
way to
clear answer.
repower the core?
Well, people talk about two things: nuking, detonating nukes deep within the surface to get things molten and flowing again, which in theory could possibly regenerate a magnetic field around the planet. And then, or you could just literally place a giant like magnetic thing at a gravitationally stable point between Mars and the sun, and that would have a magnetic field big enough to deflect the winds. Both options are basically science fiction with our current technology.
Yeah.
So, and the nuking thing is like maybe you can get it going, and we'll
Or
get
maybe
in,
blow up the planet from the inside.
yeah, or just fuck it up.
That's what that sounds like. That's exactly what would happen.
Like hitting that part of the Death Star. Just
Right.
to have
I
a
mean,
perfect
I
part.
feel like they could figure out how to like nuke it without exactly blowing it up, but then it's like you just kind of poison it. Then it's like now the planet's a radioactive mess, or maybe it just I don't know. Here's what happens to shit if you get that core turning at like I don't know what is that like 5,000 degrees. I don't know how hot it would get.
either.
But and we'll get into cores in a little bit. That cores are actually kind of cool.
Have they like thought of a dome? You put a dome out there, like a glass dome.
Trap it all.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Simpsons.
Just the crystal
Like
spheres.
Simpsons.
You're going back to medieval fucking cosmology. You're talking about the crystal spheres.
Yeah. We
like
have
a
the
hamster ball around the planet.
Yeah, we have the technology to make a air conditioned dome.
I don't know. I don't think so.
It would be
Maybe not one
gigantic.
that can cover the whole surface of Mars. That's my
Then it
big
blocks the sun.
right.
Oh, but you need glass so you let
Yeah.
sunlight in.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be so much easier just to trap fucking chemicals.
Well,
in the
dude, you think
atmosphere.
it's
Also,
solar
one
panels?
meteor hits that thing. We're cooked.
Yeah, true. You're on the last piece. You're like, no. So also, say we did all of that stuff, you still need water. You need water to support life. You could get water, like we said, by melting the ice caps. There's enough water in the caps to cover the entire planet in about 115 feet of water. It's not
Is
an
it
ocean.
like drinkable water?
Probably, yeah.
If we went up there and like ate Mars,
they
that
have
would be good?
fresh lake. It's thought that they had freshwater lakes at one point. I think they do have frozen freshwater too. I could be wrong.
Okay.
So you could get some drinkable water going, but you would have about it's a pretty shallow ocean. 115 feet is not very deep for an ocean by Earth standards, but
No.
still, it would be kind of sandbar.
Well,
city
that's
for
to
sure.
cover the whole planet. We don't need it to cover the whole planet.
True.
You know what I mean?
True. We
You
can
can
build
kind
up.
of section that off and get maybe.
I'm building my house on Mons Olympus, dude. I already called it.
Yeah. I'm going at the bottom. Of the,
You're at the bottom of the
pussy. I'm going to the bottom of the pussy.
So oxygen now, because we need oxygen in the environment. We get the carbon dioxide to kind of do the greenhouse effect.
Mhm.
Oxygen remains tricky but doable. NASA did a MOXIE experiment on the Perseverance rover. It actually has already converted CO2 to oxygen on Mars, but only on a small scale. So if you were to ramp that up to like industrial scale, it would still take thousands of years to get it to where we need. Then there's the issue of nitrogen. Mars has very little of it, so we'd have to harvest from Titan, Saturn's moon, possibly even redirecting it closer using gravitational techniques, which honestly, we don't have that shit either. So we'd have to kind of steal Saturn's moon to make Mars inhabitable.
Yeah, we would have to be on like spaceship level of travel.
Yeah.
This is like Gru level.
It's Gru. It's fucking Gru.
It, dude.
It is literally kids shit.
Yeah. Like we got to move the one moon to the other planet.
Yeah.
We're gonna blow up the core.
I stole the moon. So the plausible.
Wait, I saw the Minions. They had the Minions singing the YMCA earlier on the news. That's good stuff,
dude.
I know you're off the internet, but you got to get back.
No, Despicable Me. I've seen all the Despicable Me's.
Yeah.
They are. That's in a slept-on franchise.
Yeah.
Despicable Me.
Pharrell does all the music for Despicable Me's, and his soundtracks are fucking awesome. And
the Minions are awesome.
Minions are awesome.
The Minions are my favorite comedians.
I think so. They're the best.
It goes the Minions, Shaquille O'Neal, Johnny Knoxville, Patrice in that order.
I don't argue at all. There's a part in one of the Despicable Me's where an old lady teaches them karate. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. They're the best, dude. So the plausible timeline, if we were to do that stuff, say we had the technology, it would take tens of thousands of years. However, again, Elon Musk is saying we can nuke the ice caps, which his big problem is he hasn't solved the magnetic field problem. So again, if you hear him talking about like nuke Mars or live on, he wears that like t-shirt, he's capping. He has no idea how to get how to
Ice capping.
He's ice capping. He's complete. He's science mogging, nerd capping. It's fucking bullshit. So there's also okay. So there's another issue. If you terraform Mars, Mars definitely had water. We can definitely confirm that. The dusty rock is believed to have hosted oceans, rivers, even freshwater lakes. Scientists, this is how they tell, by the way. Scientists apparently can look at rock formations and tell, since certain minerals found on Mars can only form in the presence of liquid water. These are clay minerals, sulfates, carbonates, just a little thing. So the kinds of compounds that require prolonged contact with water to develop are scattered across the Martian surface. So the Opportunity rover found small gray mineral spheres. I mean, it was hematite, I guess. They call them blueberries that only form in water. And they also found evidence of a freshwater lake in the Gale crater that existed for potentially millions of years with chemistry that would have been suitable for microbial life.
Sounds like something was there and fucked it all up.
Yeah, well, the planet stuff. Once the core stops churning, you're fucked. Yeah. Once you lose your atmosphere, you're fucking toast. So the northern hemisphere also tells a bigger story. It sits significantly lower in elevation than the southern hemisphere. Leading theory is it was once covered by an ocean, not a small pond, an ocean, potentially covering a third of the entire planet, sometimes called the Oceanus Borealis, kind of sick name. Also, it has like sediment deposits, blah, 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 all this bullshit. So, yeah, so the thick atmosphere, thanks to Mars's once magnetic field, protected the water on the surface from solar wind. Once the iron core cooled, this is what they think happened because smaller planets cool a lot faster than larger planets. That's why its size, it actually really matters for planets. Small planets cool quicker, solidified, demagnetized the planet, atmosphere stripped away by solar wind, and the water broke apart, hydrogen floating off into space while the oxygen remained, merging with the iron in the soil. Oxygen and iron, what does it create? Rust. Yeah, that's why if you get a bolt wet, it fucking gets rusty. So old Mars, once fucking lush with life. So if you were to terraform it, there still is tiny little microbial life forms. You would have to mega genocide them to make it habitable for Earth. So,
but they're like those small ones you can't really see. So
if you want to euphemize it, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you'd have to. It'd be like tiny little shrimpies, and you'd have to. Yeah. So, and here's the thing: the search for life on Mars. 1976, NASA landed 2 Viking probes on Mars, the first spacecraft to successfully operate on the Martian surface. They carried biology experiments designed to detect life. One experiment added a nutrient to Martian soil and detected CO2 being released, exactly what would happen if microorganisms were metabolizing the nutrient, or whatever they gave it. The scientists although to be fair, the caps are releasing CO2 in the summertime too. So
yeah,
it's a little, who knows, but I guess whatever this test, one of the guys, the scientist who designed the experiment, maintained till his death that the Viking results were positive for life. He goes, dude, this test shows
Yeah.
100% that there is some sort of life form.
So we just blessed like a little bit of the population with like a feast, and they just.
I think so. But NASA came out and was like, no. Those reaction that was a chemical. It can either be a chemical reaction or biological.
Because NASA don't want us to know there's aliens.
The debate's never been fully resolved. You'd think they would. We'd fund space a lot more, but I
think
don't
if
know.
we got a couple archaeologists up there, we'd find a lot of shit on Mars. You know what I mean? We're just looking at
Little
surface level
digging,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I bet there's bones.
I mean, we
100%.
haven't. We can only send little crafts. We'd have to. Yeah, it would take a long time. So
How long does it take? 7 years? Did we cover this already? Sorry.
I don't know. I think you can get there in 7 years.
I think it takes like a few years to get to Mars.
So, especially if you can do, there's a thing called gravity acceleration where you just kind of swing into a planet's gravitational field and it
Yeah.
just like rockets you out. It's pretty sick.
That's what just happened with that the Atlas, that
Mhm.
thing that was just in our solar system that nobody knew what it was. That's how it got out of here.
It got out of here.
It's slung shot out of our thing. It did the
Fucking
thing.
thank you.
That's what. Yeah.
So, on top of that, the debate's never been fully resolved. On top of that, the Curiosity rover has detected methane in the Martian atmosphere that fluctuates seasonally. Methane breaks down quickly under Martian conditions, so something is actively producing it on
That's
Earth.
from farts.
Could be. It could be the ancient fat guys trapped. On Earth, methane is like the Avatar Airbender. On Earth, methane is produced by geological processes and by living organisms. So nobody
Farts.
knows who's responsible for the methane on Mars. Could be geology, could be a life form underground. Question still open. Also, right now, we're still undergoing mission is the Perseverance, landed in 2021. Landed in the Jezero crater, which is an ancient lake basin with a clearly visible river delta. You can actually see it from orbit. I guess it has like sediment deposits that rivers create when they flow into water. So it looks much like the kind of underbody of like stuff we see on Earth. Scientists chose this location specifically because ancient lake beds are the best place to look for fossilized microbial life. So the Perseverance currently has been drilling rock cores and sealing them into titanium tubes, leaving them on the surface for a future Mars sample return mission to collect and bring back to Earth, where they can be analyzed with full laboratory equipment.
See, that shit scares me.
The samples are sitting there waiting. If any of them contain biosignatures, it would be the most significant scientific discovery in human history.
Yeah.
And again, like we said, if it does have life and we terraform, cruel fate, dude.
Yeah.
Cruel fate for the god
It's like
of
if an
war.
alien came down here and just butt fucked us to death and
Basically.
took over Earth.
Cruel fate for the god of war himself. That's who Mars is named after, by the way. Mars, the god he was the Roman god of war, one of the most important deities in the entire Roman pantheon, second only to Jupiter in terms of significance to Roman culture and religion. So, and also too, in ancient Greece, they had, who the fuck was Ares was the Greek equivalent to the god of war, but the Greeks were like, god of war is kind of a dickhead.
Yeah.
He's like a spaz, and Mars was like, the god of war fucking protects us. He's the Romans actually really fucked with Mars. He was he was like their favorite fucking god. So yeah, he was disciplined, honorable, and he was like the embodiment of military excellence rather than just savagery.
Nice.
So his origin, Mars is the son of Jupiter and Juno, king and queen of the gods. He's a full Olympian, top tier royalty in terms of Roman gods. In one version, Juno can conceive Mars alone without Jupiter using a magical flower given to her by the goddess Flora. And as retaliation for Jupiter having produced, Juno was mad that Jupiter made Minerva directly from his own head.
Minerva's
So-
a moon?
I don't know. Minerva's some sort of Roman god.
Oh.
So yeah, it's just funny he made a person from his own head. Very weird.
He just jerked off.
He just jerked off. He was pissed and made So
Test tubed himself.
Mars was like they thought of as like, I remember Mercury was like a crafty, wise messenger. Mars, the god, is disciplined, powerful, the embodiment of Roman military virtue. Also not associated just with war, but also agriculture in the early Roman religion. It was just a farming culture before it was a military empire. So Mars kind of presided over the fields and their defense.
Does anything say what they saw to make it go like war?
Red.
Fighting? Red, just
red.
red.
There's blood. They
Just
saw
blood
red. And also like multiple cultures, even the Babylonians in Greeks saw just red. They're like, yeah, that's the war god. Also, the month of March is actually named after Mars, the god. Martius in Latin, because March was traditionally when the military campaigning season began after winter. So that was, and here it gets even more interesting. First of all, Tuesday is also named after the god of Mars because Tuesday comes from the Old English, the god name Q, which is the Germanic god of war as well, equivalent to Mars. So Tuesday is also Mars Day in disguise.
So every Tuesday in March, we should just get busy.
Should get busy.
We should just start
You
throwing
gotta-
hands.
You got a campaign. You got a campaign. Also, interesting. The original Roman calendar only had 10 months, beginning with March. So that like military season kicking up
Yeah.
was like New Year's.
Yeah.
So you would, so January and February were added later.
What?
Mars originally, they didn't have January and February. It was just 10 months, and then it got cold, and you just didn't count that.
Damn.
Once it got cold, everyone would just chill and just be like, "Fuck, this sucks. This is so boring."
Yeah.
And then once like the priest would kind of watch the moon and the stars and be like, "All right, guys," there was no real calendar. They'd be like,
Yeah.
"All right, guys, it's March now." So it was
Get
like
out
pretty
there.
imprecise.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, "Yep, March. Everybody, let's go. Get up. We're about to go fuck these guys. We're about to go beat the shit out of some guys next to us."
I've been waiting all year for this.
So for a while, it was just 10 months. And that's why September, October, November, December, whose names come from the Latin words for 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Mhm.
December is the 12th month. It's because it used to be the 10th month. It was the final month. It'd be December and then March.
That
So you'd
stinks.
have December, 2 dead months, and then it was time to go fuck people up.
So I didn't used to have a birthday. That's a
No,
bummer.
I didn't have a birthday either, brother.
It's a bummer.
It was just dead time. You would just fucking be sitting there like, dude, this sucks. Can't wait to go fight someone. So, so
Leap year would have never happened.
no, leap years thanks to Marcus Aurelius. Or no, is it Marcus Aurelius? Who's the fucking guy who came back and gave? No, it's I don't know whatever. We'll get back into it. But so they were kicking around that Julius Caesar, I believe, was the one who straightened out the calendar, if I'm not mistaken. So what happened was after a while, once Rome started getting bigger and bigger, they were like, bro, we can't just sit here like dickheads with like we can't have like literal
Yeah.
uncalendared downtime. We got to get more precise with this shit. So they added January and February. And then January became the official new year. So January was named after the god Janus, of the Roman god of new beginnings and doorways. So Janus, the god, is depicted as having two faces, one looking into the past, the other looking into the future. Janus was the god of thresholds, of entering the new and of changing. That's why everyone gets all gay at New Year's and goes like, I'm going to be so different this year. It's just a holdover from some weird ancient god, Janus.
Some two-faced bitch.
Two-faced bitch. Truly. And here's the funny thing is Janus is the god of thresholds, like we said, of entering the new. During times of war, the doors to the temple of the god Janus were left open because they're like, who knows? Anything could happen.
Yeah.
During times of peace, the doors of the goddess or the god of Tempest or the god of Janus were closed to let people know, like, yeah, we're just chilling. Nothing cool's gonna happen. And I think that's pretty much it in terms of that. Also, that doesn't matter. That's about Saturn. I don't have to talk about that. Just a quick thing on the moons of Mars. 2 moons of Mars, Phobos and Deimos.
Those names mean anything?
Yep. Fear
Ooh.
and dread.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude.
What
So
a squad.
pretty kind of sick. So the who was so I believe it was named after this guy, Asaph Hall, who I guess discovered the moon, Phobos. I think he discovered maybe both of them, I'm not sure.
What's their
But-
names again? Phobos and what?
Phobos, and
Phobos
dread.
And-
Phobos is the Greek god of fear, basically.
Yeah, okay.
Specifically the fear experienced in battle. Because the reason they named it Phobos for Mars is Phobos would, in the myths, accompany Mars in a battle
Yeah.
and create acute battle fear
Yeah.
amongst all the other people. Deimos is dread, which is like the creeping, it's like the fear you get before the battle.
That's when we should have named the nukes. Instead of little boy
Phobos and
fat
dread.
man.
Yeah.
Phobos and dread.
Phobos and dread. And also, too, Phobos, fucking tiny, dude.
Mhm.
Phobos is very, very small. It's 14 miles. It's only 14 miles across.
Damn, that's their moon.
Yeah, they got a
How the fuck did we spot
ass,
that?
weak ass little moon. I think who's the guy who fucking found it? This guy, Asaph Hall. He found it
What
and
was he looking through?
wait, is that the guy who found it? I don't know. Actually, now I'm kind of now I'm spun out. Maybe I don't know who found it. Oh, that was the Stickney crater. This guy discovered a crater and he named it after his wife's maiden name or some fucking bullshit. I don't know. Stickney.
Pause.
Stickney.
Oh, Stickney.
But yeah, their moons, basically their moons are fucking bullshit. They're so small. Dread, Phobos is so small. It's like, how did you even find it? Dread was so small that it's like no one saw it until fairly recently. It's so dim and slow moving that, it's like kind of a bullshit moon. So we leave Mars, drifting further and further away from the sun. Jupiter, the giant planet, is a tiny point of light, though the biggest in the sky if we're looking away, if we're looking kind of on Mars away from the sun. It's 340 million miles away, further than how far Mars is from the sun, just to give an idea.
And that's the next planet?
This is the next planet. Super far, super long way.
Between Jupiter and Mars, 340 million miles.
Yep. So we float on, passing the desolate rocks of the asteroid belt, which we'll see why the asteroid belt is there. Stuff that could become a planet if it wasn't for Jupiter's enormous gravitational field pulling it apart before it could kind of form into a planet. Also, the rocks of the asteroid belt aren't all clustered together like you see in the movies. They're on average nearly 600,000 miles apart from each other.
Oh.
Lonely boys.
So that's cap when they have them
Cap.
like
when you're going through the asteroid belt, it's complete cap.
That shit Miss Frizzle drove through wasn't real.
I mean, if you're like in a different solar system, but
Right.
in ours asteroid belt, those are lonely rocks.
Damn.
Okay.
So everything. So we drift and drift hundreds, of millions of miles. The journey would take 70 years on a commercial airplane, though it takes us only 33 days. Our fastest technology can send like rovers in 33 days. And I think that's using like that fucking shit we're talking about with the
With a slingshot.
and stuff.
To Jupiter, we get
You can go-
340 miles, 340 million miles. in
33 days. Yeah.
That's like if you're from Earth to Jupiter.
Yeah.
Or, I mean,
Or maybe Mars to
Mars to
Jupiter.
Jupiter.
Mars
Right,
to
right.
Jupiter.
Okay.
But yeah,
But I mean, once, in that time frame,
yeah.
even if we went from Earth, that'd probably be just a few more days. So first look, 12 million miles out. We get closer, only having now 12 million miles left on our hundreds of millions of mile journey. Jupiter, even from this far away, is coming into focus. From 12 million miles away, you can see its bands, brown, tan, orange, and white, arranged in horizontal stripes, wrapping around the entire planet, moving in opposite directions simultaneously. Some of the regions rising, some of them falling.
Jupiter was always the sexiest one to me.
Dude, Jupiter's fucked
It
up.
sounds like Redbone the way you were
Yeah,
describing it.
yeah.
It is, yeah, it is kind of nice.
Redbone.
She
The
rotating on
boundaries
her axis.
between the bands are just very turbulent zones. From
Bands will
3
make you
million
dance.
miles. The what?
That's
True.
a man's will make you dance.
I mean, you guys are laughing about Jupiter. This is actually really serious. From 3 million miles, we see the Great Red Spot, a giant storm rotating. The scale starts to strike us. We're 3 million miles away. This thing's fucking huge. So, okay, 600,000 miles out. As we get closer, again, 600,000 miles away, something strange happens. The planet begins taking up our entire field of vision. Less of a floating globe, more like a giant wall. It's a banded, multicolored, churning wall. And to give some perspective, the moon's about 240,000 miles from Earth. So imagine staring at Earth from the moon, and Earth was all you could see. It's not a globe. It's just literally, it's like a wall in the middle of space. This thing, Jupiter's so big, we could fit every planet we visited in so far with plenty of room left over. And it also contains more mass than any other planets in the solar system combined twice over. So Jupiter's king. Jupiter's fucking
It's a
massive.
big girl.
Big dog, yeah.
Big dog. We started ascent, gazing at the stripes of color moving horizontally across the planet. Like we said, brown, tan, orange, white, going in opposite directions. And then possibly the weirdest thing of all, the Great Red Spot. It's a giant anti-cyclone storm system larger than Earth that has been going on for over 400 years. So it's an anti-cyclone rather than a hurricane. That means hurricanes are a lot of storms on Earth. Tornadoes are low pressure systems.
Mhm.
So like low pressure just means there's like a gap in the atmosphere for whatever reason created,
Yeah.
and winds just funnel down into that low pressure system, and they keep churning and burning until literally the friction of the ground stops them.
Okay.
So whenever time like a cyclone or a tornado hits a tree, a house, the ground kicks up dirt. The earth is literally absorbing its impact and stripping it of its kind of power.
That's why they slow down over time and stuff.
That's why they eventually stop. The problem is on Saturn, there's no ground,
Mm.
and it's a high pressure system. So it's just fucking ripping with nothing to stop it. So that's why the storm's been going on. Nothing can stop the storm.
Does the storm move? Like you ever see like a hurricane on
I don't think
radar?
so. I
like,
think it
moves
just
around?
stays. It stays in one spot.
Whoa.
It is shrinking though, which is weird. I don't know why. No one knows why it's shrinking. But people think it might dissipate within the next few decades. We could be alive for the disappearance of the
That'd
Great
be
Red
sick.
Spot. That'd be pretty cool. So we descend down into Jupiter's swirling bands. Now we're entering its atmosphere. We're greeted by thin, wispy layers of hydrogen and helium, which is fine enough. It's also cold as shit. It's about negative 230 degrees Fahrenheit. at the cloud tops. So we go down, entering a layer of ammonia ice clouds, braving the 400 mile per hour winds, and then down into ammonium hydrosulfide layer, a compound of ammonia and sulfur. This is responsible for Jupiter's brown and orange coloring. This is another cloud layer. Winds are still raging, but at least it's starting to heat up a bit. And also, without our suits, the combination of pressure, temperature, and toxic atmosphere composition would destroy our bodies. Like, it would just dematerialize us instantly.
It's turning like dust.
Yeah, like just that chemical ammonium hydrosulfate, if you were just to drop your, like, you know, again, this is like below freezing. This is like flash freezing temperatures. But if you were to take that aside and drop yourself in a pool of ammonium hydrosulfide, your body, you just would melt. Your body would just melt instantly. So you would just, without our cool suits, we would fucking die.
Dude.
So then we're in the other cloud layer now. We're dropping from that weird, like, ammonia cloud layer. Now we're entering a basically water ice. Pretty sick. Temperature goes up and up even more. We hit, literally read us, dude. We hit a water ice layer sitting at basically 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 Celsius,
Nice.
which seems manageable enough if it wasn't for the massive bolts of lightning, each releasing energy equivalent to a nuclear weapon as they strike. These are the most powerful lightning bolts in the entire solar system, happening continuously throughout the cloud layers. Fuck.
The fuck?
We go down, 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 realizing that this planet has no surface. We're just swimming in a sea of liquid hydrogen and helium, sitting now at 6,000 degrees Celsius, about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than the surface of the sun, which sounds impossible until you remember the sun's surface is 5,500 degrees Celsius, obviously. And it's the coolest part of the sun because, you know, that's where energy escapes. The real action, the sun's core is 15 million degrees. Jupiter has nothing on the sun's core. But Jupiter is hotter than the sun's surface. So that's impressive, honestly.
That's just because of the chemical reactions happening, or?
It's just giant. It's fucking massive. And it's not like the surface of the sun is where all the heat escapes from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, it's like a weird technicality. Like the sun itself is fucking, even when you leave the surface, it's like 10
hotter.
degrees. Yeah.
Right.
The sun's corona is like 10 million degrees. But so, okay. So as we're going deep into this groundless fucking hydrogen, and it's just the pressure becomes so intense. It's a million times stronger than Earth's atmosphere, that the liquid hydrogen that we were just kind of sinking into starts to change into something with, it's like hard to classify. So unlike the sun, we talked about this in episode 1, where the heat strips electrons away from atoms. This is how they start to do nuclear fusion. You got to pull the electrons away, and they have kind of like, they collide with each other, and that's literally particle fusion. The pressure on Jupiter is doing the real work. It forces the hydrogen atoms so close that their electrons stop belonging to any individual atom and start basically belonging to just itself simultaneously. And it starts flowing through this chemical soup. This is metallic hydrogen. So when you have these free-floating electrons, what do you think that does?
Little explosions?
No, it conducts electricity like metal.
Oh.
So this basically, so think about it this way. The electrons leave the atoms, and they, like, you know how you like take a magnet, you can arrange like metal filings in a neat line?
Yeah.
They arrange in a line, and the planet's spinning so fast, they start moving, and they don't conduct electricity. They become electricity themselves. So the free electrons, due to the pressure, because again, it doesn't have the heat of the sun's core, but it has enough pressure to create its own electricity, which is that in the basically the core, if you can call it that, generates a strong electrical field. Kind of fucking cool. So it basically it generates its own electricity due to the current of electrons moving in the same direction.
I wonder if it would be visible, or if it would just be like how you could just feel it, like if you touch something. Get
this. So the electricity generates a magnetic field, and this is where it gets kind of weird. So like we understand why the electrons become a electrical current. If you have electrons, free electrons moving, that is essentially what an electrical current is. But every time you have that, you generate an electrical field, just rule of thumb. It's going to come about, and it kind of like wraps around and kind of spirals around it. But it's like, well, how does that happen? This is where it gets weird. We can predict the force of magnetism generated by an electrical current. We can predict like the range, shape, and all of that with like super, super sharp precision, thanks to big homie James Maxwell, obviously. He was the one who figured out electromagnetism were like the same thing. But the why behind electricity generating magnetism, to this day, nobody can really say for sure.
Okay.
So in here, well, I guess like the quantum guys, this is what they say. So the idea that the reason that electricity generates magnetism is that space isn't like, when you think about space floating through space, you're thinking of like an empty, dark void. But the emptiness of space is actually populated with fields and forces, like invisible, real things that exert their influence on the physical world. So when electricity moves through space, which we kind of think of as this like nothing that things move through, they're actually triggering different fields and creating different reactions. So when electricity moves through anywhere, it triggers the electromagnetic field, which is everywhere all throughout the universe, touching everything. The magnetism the electricity creates by simply existing isn't new magnetism. It's a disturbance within an aspect of the fundamental fabric of physical reality, which is the magnetic field. The magnetic field just is.
Yeah.
And anytime there's electricity, it's moving through like an invisible but real substance, and it's creating it's altering the field, creating a disturbance that then becomes a self-perpetuating thing where it's like if you have electricity, you then create magnetism. The magnetic field then affects the particles around the electricity, which then could make that area conductive, which then creates more magnetism, which then charges the electrons. So it's literally like a self-sustaining kind of wave, if that makes sense. Kind of fucking cool.
Yeah.
So, and here's the weird thing too is once you have the electricity created, that creates magnetism. That goes on. It can go on forever. The speed through which the disturbance is created in the field, guess how fast it moves?
I got no idea. I'll guess light speed.
Yeah.
Light speed faster.
It is exactly light speed. So not only is electricity and magnetism one thing, it is light essentially as well. Kind of fucked up. Don't even think about it, dude. Just say a prayer. Just close your eyes, say a prayer. It's fucking nuts. Yeah, it's fucking weird. I was like, I drink too much coffee and I research outer space and physics like this, and I get nervous. I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? But
I hear stuff like this, and I don't even want to learn anymore.
It moves at a speed where it's like magnetism is an invisible field that's also light, that also works perfectly with electricity in a way that it's a self-perpetuating thing that can travel literally infinitely throughout the universe. It's fucking kind of nuts. Again, just don't think about it too much. Just close your eyes, say your fucking prayers for bed, and just hope, whatever.
Hope the sun doesn't explode.
So, dude, here's the funny thing is, so as cool as all this is, I think it's cool. Jupiter is also a bit of a bummer, or at least can seem like one. Despite all of its churning and burning, Jupiter is also the sad story of the star that almost was but could never be. Because Jupiter, again, it's like you have a ton of hydrogen.
Yeah.
And it's hot, and you have pressure, but can never become a star. To create condition for fusion, which is what makes stars, you need two things, heat and pressure. Jupiter's got the pressure, it's got the hydrogen, but it can break down free electrons, like we said, but it stops there, reaching only 40,000 degrees or 72,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It needs to get up to 15 million degrees or 27 million degrees Fahrenheit to ignite nuclear fusion. Convert its hydrogen into the fuel that would make it a star.
But if it turned into a star, we wouldn't exist. We'd be cooked.
Nate, you're actually right on.
Fucked.
We'd be in a binary star system.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. So, yeah, Jupiter, as big as it is, would need to be 80 times bigger. And the reason it can't get that hot, like the sun is hot because it's so fucking big. And the pressure of its weight just pushes down.
Is the sun bigger than Jupiter?
80 times.
Oh, really?
I mean, in order for Jupiter to even be considered like a sub-star, it'd have to be 80 times bigger. I think the sun
is a star.
The sun's like
All
a
right,
million.
yeah.
The sun's like it's way bigger than Jupiter.
I'm a dumbass.
So the way the sun works, pretty crazy. The way the sun works is the sun's so big and heavy that its weight just crushes down on itself and makes it so hot that there's nuclear explosions at the core of the sun.
Whoa.
So then the nuclear explosions push the sun out.
Yeah.
And then the sun goes, but then if it cools down too much, then the nuclear explosions will stop and the star will die. So then the sun, the gravity goes, hold up a second, pushes down even harder, explodes, cools. The sun just kind of goes in and out over and over.
It's like it's breathing.
For billions of years. Yeah, it's just kind of going, it's self-regulating. I mean, again, I've said it a long time ago, the sun's conscious. Nobody believed me, but
I think Earth is.
Could be.
I think all.
Dude, after I read this shit, I'm like, first of all, yeah, God's real, obviously, but this is like, it's fucked up. So then Jupiter has the stuff. It could be. It has the stuff of a star. Just it's limited by its mass. It can never get as big to kind of star out. But like you said, Nate, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like you know, we need, as we found out, that the dual star system could be it could fuck us up. It could genuinely.
You would have no night, probably, right?
We don't know. I don't think basically, if it were, so if we had a binary star system, we would get probably bombarded with UV rays, and we would be we'd be fucked up. What else? Oh, our orbit could be destabilized. Too much radiation, too much heat.
I'd imagine the temperature would go way up.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, it's the star, the sun's 93 million miles away. Although Jupiter's far as fuck.
Yeah, it's further.
Far as shit.
But
But
I catch a little of that heat, though.
you would, for sure.
Yeah.
It would be massive. We would see it in the sky for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, again, think 80 times bigger, or, you know, at the very least. So here's the other thing. Jupiter, you know, again, its gravitational field is super important for us. Because again, like we said, creating all that magnetism and that mass. And the cool thing about magnetism, too, is like each little electron generates its own tiny field of magnetism. But for whatever reason, magnetism snaps together. And I think it's just, why they think it's a field. Because it's like if you have a couple molecules, that's like a tiny bit of magnetism. They combine and create bigger and bigger. They like scale on top of each other, just the way it's designed. So Jupiter has a magnetic shield that brings in a lot of cosmic debris. So it significantly reduces bombardment of comets and asteroids that would otherwise reach the inner solar system. So Jupiter, it's a bit of a protector.
Kind of like a little shield out there.
Vacuum. Here's the thing, and it's actually Jupiter is responsible for the asteroid belt's existence in the first place. The asteroid belt is asteroids that have passed by Jupiter. And Jupiter goes and just kind of keeps them in that little pool.
A little autistic, like
little rock collector, little rock here. So, and again, I'm losing. Okay, so the thing is like we talked about how electricity forms when electrons spin really fast with enough pressure. Enough pressure releases electrons from an atom. The spinning of the planet makes them go fast enough, and then they become charged and create electromagnetism. So the question is like, how exactly would Jupiter's field of gravity stop a asteroid or a comet? So gravity is another field inherent to just like the blank space, basically. So you have electromagnetism, you have gravity. So here's how gravity works. I think you guys have probably seen this on fucking Discovery Channel, but as we've already talked about, you know, electrons, blah, blah, blah. Gravity is no different. The weight of the planet exerts a force on another field, which is just gravity. So the disturbance in the collective field of gravity is what's referred to as the planet's own gravitational field. So basically, the electromagnetic field runs through every inch of the universe. So does the gravity as a field is inherent in space.
Yeah.
So what happens is the weight of the planet is just disturbing disturbing gravity as a field. And that creates, Einstein made like a bowling ball analogy. So it's like if you were to put a bowling ball in a blanket, it's the weight of the ball that creates the curve in the fabric. That's basically the planet's gravitational field.
The UFO community says that's how UFOs fly too. They bend space and time around them.
Element 115.
Yeah, and then just get around there.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. So Jupiter's gravitational field, while sometimes a blessing, can be a curse since its gravity can send stuff hurtling our way as well as sending it away from us. So it's like you consider the bowling ball and the blanket analogy. In space, it's not that simple because all of the planets and comets and stuff, well, not so much the comets, but like the planets are all rotating while orbiting other rotating and orbiting objects. So the gravitational fields are like interacting, changing, and also they're rotating themselves. The gravitational field's kind of twisting and churning and burning. So when an asteroid, so say like those asteroid belts are chilling, if there's some weird, you know, planetary alignment, that could dip an asteroid down into Saturn's gravitational field on the edge, and it just could just fling it at us.
Yeah.
Super fucking fast. So that would, you know, so again, it is a bit of our protector, but it could fuck us up really badly. Also the Jupiter also absorbs, so asteroids I think are like within our solar system, and then comets are like bigger from kind of deep space.
Okay.
Jupiter also absorbs comets coming in from deep space.
And then it does what? Just like destroys them within its atmosphere?
Yeah. So, it just takes them. It just fucking eats it. But as they're when a comet or something enters Jupiter's gravitational field, because like with the blanket analogy, you have like a super steep hill essentially. You have like a 5-mile comet. The one part's like on the high part of the hill, and the one part's on the low, and like the weight just kind of it starts just like breaking on itself. So and there was also a the Shoemaker Levy 9. This was like this is in 1994. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a comet Shoemaker Levy 9 that was massive, not as big as the what was the dinosaur killer Chicxulub? I think it's called like Chicxulub or something. Was the dinosaur killer?
I forget.
So it wasn't as big. It was like I think like 1/8 of the size of the dinosaur killer. But the Shoemaker Levy 1994 was coming towards us in the solar system. It was captured by Jupiter's gravity, or at least coming in our direction. Captured by Jupiter's gravity, where it orbited the planet while being torn into 21 fragments by tidal forces, or just a change in gravity that breaks stuff apart.
So if that had happened, we would have been cooked.
We
We'd be
do.
dead.
I mean, so basically, they explain the scale. So look, okay, so this thing was pulled apart into 21 pieces, and it just kind of orbited, and then all the pieces slammed into Jupiter, one fragment after another, over 6 days, each releasing more energy than all of Earth's nuclear weapons combined. Jupiter took all those hits. So, and to give a sense of scale, like we said, while the Shoemaker Levy comet was significantly smaller than Chicxulub, the dinosaur killer, about 1/6, whatever we said that part, the velocity that Jupiter's gravity gave the fragments as they fell inward, it made those impacts that were basically the impacts combined, the force combined from those 21 pieces, even though it was way smaller than the dinosaur comet, it was 3 times the force, basically.
Damn.
So Jupiter took 3 times the force of the dinosaur killer, champed it. So that was an instance. Jupiter, shield, thank you very much. If we took even one small fragment of the Shoemaker Levy 9,
Be like that bird that the pitcher hit with the ball.
Like the
Just-
Randy Johnson
Oh,
bird.
yeah,
dude, we'd be so basically we would, if that one of those hit us, we'd be choking on dust, we'd be drowning in mega tsunamis. If they hit the ocean, we're fucking fried. Dying in wildfires as the debris of the impact rises back into the sky, reignites into fireballs from re-entering the atmosphere, and just rains down back on us. The largest single fragment alone released 6 million megatons of energy. The bomb dropped in Hiroshima was 0.015
Holy shit.
megatons. Jupiter ate all 21 fragments over 6 days. We watched through telescope. Shout out Jupiter. We see Jupiter. And with that, dude, we're getting the hell out of here. Up and away, leaving Jupiter, the king who dethroned his father Saturn. But we'll get into the mythology in the next episode. Saturn also was the guy who ate his children. As we're going to just drift
It's like a
further into the
tarantula.
fringes of the solar system on a Saturus, Uranus, Neptune, and Nate, we're doing fucking Pluto, like you said.
Yes.
And if we're lucky, we'll return to Earth. So
I'm
that is
excited
part
about
2. We're going to go
Uranus.
3. The mission's getting more dangerous. So stay safe. Stay
We
hard.
gotta do a Haley's Comet episode at some point too. I gotta see what's up with that guy.
We'll check it out. We'll check it out. But yeah, part 3. I think the ending will be part 3.
Okay.
We'll return to Earth triumphantly.
Damn, this was the most I've ever learned in one sitting.
Thank you, dude. The space. Hopefully, I did the electromagnetism justice. I was bugging out on that shit all being.
People listening are like, "Yo, Drew's actually retarded," and I'm usually not this dumb, but this levels above what I
don't
dude.
know any of the stuff. I like look it up, and as I'm going, I'm like, oh, okay, that's how that works. Oh, that's how that works. But yeah, I still can't wrap my head around. The fields are bugging me out, dude.
Yeah,
Invisible fields that are just infinitely extended, and there's a bunch of them. And that's what it just interacting with fields and creating
I
disturbances.
think the most interesting part of all that to me was that the eye of Jupiter is kind of. I didn't know that it was like an anti-hurricane or however you describe
Anticyclone?
anti-cyclone.
I like throwing terminology like that around big time.
I like that.
It's actually an anticyclone. high
But
pressure system.
the idea of it shrinking and we could see in our lifetime a spotless Jupiter is very sick.
It's been around for 400 years,
Yeah.
longer than the
Well-
country.
Wow.
Great Red Spot's been here longer than the country.
Mm.
Yeah. We got to make it past
Red
the
Spot
Great-
400. They're doing UFC fights on lawn.
UFC fights in the eye of a cyclone, of an anticyclone.
I like the atomic lightning. That's my
I-
favorite. In the water, you think shit's sweet in the water ice layer.
It's
Get hit by a fucking atomic
nuclear lightning bolts are crazy. Yeah. I don't
We
like
did it.
any of that.